Welcome back to Boring Reviews.
Boring land.
Oh, just kidding.
Blasphemer.
Hello,
right.
Boring Review Nation.
Kind of pointless.
We know all things.
All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Boring land, as Gabe likes to say. Nick here.
Gabe.
And we are here for another rugby video. Which video is that going to be, Gabe?
Let me check my Magic 8 Ball. You guys remember this thing?
Snap.
Magic
Blast
8 Ball.
from the past.
Magic 8 Ball. Which rugby video are we going to be watching today? Ask again later. These things never work, bro. I've never gotten an answer from them. I'm telling you, just the worst. Well, anyway, we're going to check out the rules of rugby. Okay, it's another Ninh video. He does some awesome work. This guy's voice is awesome. He should do some voice acting. Who knows? Maybe he does do voice acting or whatever.
Yeah,
but he's got that great voice, and I enjoy watching his videos. They're very short, very to the point, and very informative.
Yes, he does amazing. And you know it's amazing for the two of us for him to keep his videos down so short. But he gives a lot of information, a lot of clips, a lot of this or that. I mean, it's super impressive. We really appreciate the opportunity to react to his videos. We never got his permission, but we haven't had an issue yet. So we really appreciate his hard work. We are excited to learn more about rugby. This is a different form of rugby called Rugby League. And, you know, if you're a big fan of rugby, go ahead and give us a thumbs up and consider subscribing, because this will not be the last rugby video that we do, as we are exploring in this world. So with all that being said, Gabe, are you ready?
Absolutely.
And let's get started in 3, 2, 1.
Ninh explains the rules of Rugby League. The object of the game is for your team to score more points than the opposing team. The game is played with 2 teams of 13, playing on a field that's 100 metres long. In rugby, you may run forwards with the ball, and you may kick the ball forwards. But what's interesting about rugby is that you can only pass the ball backwards or sideways. You cannot pass the ball forwards, and doing so will result in your opponent being awarded possession. The idea is to score points, and there are several ways to do this. Number 1, a try. You can run the ball into your opponent's in-goal area and place the ball down onto the ground.
That's similar
This
to
is a try
Union.
and is worth 4 points. Unlike in American football, the player must press the ball down onto the ground with downward pressure. No downward pressure equals no try.
Wow.
Number 2, a conversion. After scoring a try, you are awarded a conversion kick to add more points.
Looks like James Franco.
The kick is made from a spot 20 metres from the goal line and perpendicular to the spot where the try was scored. Kicking the ball between the posts and over the crossbar scores 2 points. Number 3, a penalty. If your opponent commits a foul, you may choose to kick the ball from the ground between the goalposts. This also scores 2 points. Number 4, a drop goal. You can also kick the ball between the posts at any time during open play. To do this, you must drop the ball onto the ground first before kicking it. This is known as drop goal and is rarely seen because it's only worth 1 point. It doesn't seem like much, but in close games, this might make the difference between winning and losing.
That makes sense.
To stop you from scoring, your opponents will try and stop you by tackling. Your opponent can grab you below the shoulders and pull you to the floor or stop you moving forwards. In Rugby League, once a player is tackled, the opponent must let go of the ball carrier, and his team must retreat 10 metres. The ball carrier is allowed to stand up and kick the ball back to a teammate to start the process all over again. You are allowed up to 6 tackles to score. That's right, 6. 6 is the magic number, and the number of the tackles allowed is 6. If your team is tackled a 6th time, your opponents gain possession of the ball from the spot of the tackle. Just like in American football, a team will usually kick the ball away after the 5th tackle to make it more difficult for the other team to score. The game is played in 2 40-minute halves, for a combined playing time of 80 minutes. The team with the highest score after 80 minutes wins. In summary, a team will run with the ball, get tackled, kick it back, run forwards, get tackled again, kick it back, run forwards, get tackled again, kick it back, run forwards, etc. 6 times over, and the other team gets to have a go. That's it, right? Well, that's basically the gist of it. But there's a few other rules you'll need to understand before playing or going to a game. For example, knock on. Any player deflecting the ball forwards with their arms or body is committing a knock on. Remember, you're not allowed to pass the ball forwards, so you're not allowed to deflect it forwards either, unless it's a kick. Committing a knock on will result in the other team being awarded a scrum. Scrum. This is a method of restarting play, usually after a knock on or forward pass. The forwards of both teams line up and push against one another while the ball is rolled between them. Possession of the ball is usually won by the team that's awarded the scrum. In touch. This is rugby terminology for out of the playing area. The outer lines of the fields are touch lines, and any ball leaving the field of play is said to be in touch. 40-20 kick. If you think you can kick the ball from behind your own 40-metre line, bounce it on the floor, and into touch within your opposition's 20-metre line, your team is awarded possession. The referee will award you an extra 6 tackles and possession of a scrum where the ball has left the field. This can be a tremendous advantage if kicked correctly, as you gain big field position with a single kick of the ball. However, it's easier said than done, and should you fail to execute this, your opponents are given the ball where the kick was made. This is potentially disastrous and can potentially cost you the match if you get it wrong. There are many other rules not discussed here, but as you watch or play these games, they will become very clear indeed.
Bro.
Remember, if you can count to 6, yes 6, then you understand Rugby League.
Bro, don't you just imagine these guys eating like whole sides of beef? You know what I mean, dude? Like, it's yoked, bro. Like, oh man.
Corn fed, my friend. Corn fed.
Country strong, as we like to say over here. You know what? Rugby is so close to football. You know what I mean? And you can see where a lot of the rules parallel themselves. One of the things I was going to mention in the video is because it's more of a European thing. I wonder if it's simpler, if it's similar here, where in high school at least, and some colleges, a lot of the kickers for teams are football players or soccer players. Savannah's younger brother, Sal, he was the captain of the soccer team at UNLV. Well, he kicked for the team as well. He kicked in high school. You know what I mean? Because these guys are used to kicking and they've got great legs. And, you know, kicking that field goal or that extra point matters, especially in high school and college where guys can't make extra points. And the first time I had ever seen that, before Savannah and I were even together, we might have been together at the time. Have you ever seen the movie The Replacements with Keanu Reeves?
You know, oddly enough, I haven't seen it all the way through, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
So there's this guy, and he's like either British or Australian. I can't remember what he is, but he's a huge gambaholic. But he's got a leg, and he's a former football player. This guy's kicking 60-yard field goals like it's nothing, bro. 70-yard field goals. Well, he gets into it with the Sharks, so he has to throw a game at one point in the game or whatever. They're like, you missed this kick, when this guy never misses. It's like a chip shot. So you can see him like crying through the helmet, like, oh man, I gotta shake this kick. And I don't want to ruin it for those of you that haven't watched it, but it's super funny. In any event, it looked like a lot of those guys, bro, kicking field goals is not easy. I remember, was it last year when the Bears got knocked out of the playoffs because
2 years ago,
because the guy shanked the kick and he was getting death threats. People were destroying him on social media. So ESPN went out, and it was cool of them, and was like, all right, well, for all these fans that want to kill him, come and make a field goal on live television. We'll give you Bears tickets if you did it. And guys couldn't make a field goal and an extra point. People were shanking them all after. I think out of 20 people that did it, one person was able to do it. So it's like, it's not that easy, okay? And these guys are doing it and doing it on the run. So obviously these guys must have some kind of soccer background to be able to kick it that far and that accurately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the odd thing is with the rest of that story about the Bears kickers is the head coach signed on 2 kickers, 2 field goal kickers. You never do that for preseason football. And they had a competition, you know, basically it was a joke, but the first one to miss one, you're cut. And they, you know, needless to say, they didn't have as good of a season last year. They still had some kicking issues. So, I mean, it's tough. As a Chargers fan, my team was plagued with bad kickers for the last few years, and it loses you games. Like literally watching these guys kick into, you know, their drop kicks and whatnot, between the posts there, it's super impressive, and you can see why they would want someone who plays rugby to potentially be a field goal kicker in football. But as much as they are similar, they are so different, these 2 sports. And I feel like I just understand this one a little bit more than the rugby union one, not completely. That 40-20 rule, that one really stood out to me. Like, there's a lot that has to happen. You get between that 40-meter line and you kick it. It's got to touch one time man and touch out or whatever without anyone touching it. You do that, you get a restart and get closer. That seems like that, and the drop kick for the 1 point seems like things that you won't really use until it's near the end of the game and you're in that desperation mode. In American football, you know, if you're down by something, you score a touchdown, you're going to automatically go for the onside kick because you don't have enough time to get the ball back. It seems like a kind of move like that when you're desperate and you need something to happen and maybe it's close. to be able to go for that risky move. And sometimes even in the Super Bowls, when it wasn't desperate, a coach would surprise the other team with an onside kick and it would work to their benefit. I'm thinking about the Saints in 2006, 2007, whenever that happened. But this sport looks very, very different. Once again, we have these guys that, like you said, amazing shape, no padding. But I'm telling you, like from the other video, we had comments that said time and time again, and maybe these are super fans, they don't really know exactly the injuries in American football, but they had said that yes, there's no paddings, but there's not nearly as much injuries as American football because they have rules that, protect the players. Let me tell you this. American football has rules too that protect the players. And when it comes to winning that game, those rules go out the window. And so it's really interesting to find out. Obviously, they're still playing without pads, so maybe there's a lot of truth to that. And, in the NFL, it's a little more reckless. But with this sport, I myself couldn't see the biggest difference between rugby league and rugby union. So that would be my main concern and main plea for help in the comment section. Let me know what's the biggest difference on the two sports.
I mean, I'm sure, and I forget, one of our other subscribers was talking about when we were talking about Test cricket versus ODIs. Yeah, and where Test is like a true original form of the game, where now you've got ODIs and you've got T20, and they're like, man, these guys nowadays, they're soft. And it's the same thing. Like back in the day, man, these guys, I'm sure the rules have advanced to protect players. But here's the thing. As the rules have advanced to protect players, players have also gotten bigger, stronger, and faster. Okay. Back in like the at least 40s and 50s, when the NFL was really in its infancy here, you had guys that were like part-time truckers playing, all right? Guys that this was, what I mean? So these guys weren't going to be doling out the hits as far as a guy who's a full-time professional athlete that spends, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of money of dollars on their body and trainers, and these guys are jacked. You know what I'm saying? Like, you watch a lot of these videos of old school guys, and yes, they were athletes, but not like today where everyone's an athlete and everybody's ripped. So as the rules have progressed in both, I'm sure, rugby and in American football to protect the players have also, I'm sure, gotten a lot bigger, a lot stronger, and a lot more powerful, so to speak. You know what I mean? And when you get hit, I mean, come on. There's a difference between a guy with a beer belly that, practices on the off season and, is a part-time player, to a guy that's a finely tuned athlete that can probably bench 350, 400 pounds like it's nothing. You ever seen the NFL Combine? Those dudes are monsters, okay? Monsters. Imagine getting hit by that. Oh, my gosh. Oh,
no, I'm good. So I'm good. But I mean, you make a good point. You talk about generations. This is in any sport. You have legends in every sport that, we growing up as kids, we just idolize these athletes. But you say to yourself, could their team even compete with nowadays athletes? And that sounds like modern day bias, but like you said, their entire life is a sport. We have science, we have trainers, we have, statisticians, we have all these different things to help these athletes be the best possible. It's just such a highly competitive thing. As far as rugby league, again, the first thing I think about is, okay, it's its own, sports league, and rugby union is not a sports league, but I know there's two different things. There is a video from Ninh Explains that has the differences on two. If you want us to watch that, let us know in the comment section, and we'll see what the differences are there. We are easing into rugby. We just love cricket so much, and baseball, obviously, and football and basketball, but we're easing into this, so be patient with us as we are trying to understand. But please give us a like and let us know that you want us to keep doing more.
Absolutely, guys. And again, this is outside observers, haven't not watched the game yet, but I know that a lot of places are relaxing rules. So if there's going to be a rugby tournament that we can catch on ESPN or ESPN2 or Fox, one of those networks, let us know.
And, we hope once again to be back and better than ever with more videos. Don't forget to make sure you are back. Check out some. Thanks for all the support. And until next time.
We know all things.